Good afternoon. Oh, good evening. It's a long day.
Long day.
Long day. I'm glad to see so many of you here, because I think this is a very important meeting for all of us to be taking part in. What we're going to do today, I ask you to be understanding of the fact that this is about the community engagement. You will have time to speak in public comment, but I would ask that you limit yourself, your comments to about this issue, which is namely. I know you got a whole lot of other stuff you want to talk about, but there are meetings for that. So if you just, as you come up for your 2 minutes, if you would like, have your comments about this issue. Okay? And once again, thank you all for coming. You're looking good. Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Mayor William Bill Edwards.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Catherine Rao. Councilmember Carmelita Gumbs. Councilmember Helen Z. Willis.
Here.
Councilmember Naima Gilliard.
Here.
Councilmember Rosie Jackson.
Here.
Councilmember Khalid. Present. And Councilmember Mark Baker.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Okay. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we have as you all may know, we hired a firm to help us get through the system of naming this city. They're going to talk with you tonight. They're going to explain to you what their process has been and where we are. And then we're going to give you time to make comment in our public comment. So at this time, I want the consultants to come up and begin to talk about the process and identify yourselves. You can use it. Oh, we do, is that?
Should I turn it this way?
You can turn it over.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
How's everyone doing today?
Great.
So good to see the turnout. Everyone excited about this name, obviously. All right. Well, my partner and I'm Sophie Gibson with Vivo 360, and this is Bunny Ransom Jackson with First Class. And our teams have been working really hard to get from those two boards, which is over 240 names, to this side. Oh, thank you. Much better, thank you. And it's been a great process and a lot of involvement. It really speaks to the emotion that you feel about your city. So I want to just talk a little about the process, and Bunny will go into it a little, dive a little deeper. But you are really privileged. Your city council has given you the opportunity to participate and come up with a name. So I've been doing this process of naming products, services, and for quite some time. And looking at the really big companies that do namings of cities globally, and it's usually done behind closed doors and not any involvement from the community. And what happens is they present the brand, which is the name, to you, and then consultants like myself and Bunny come in to market it and brand it, tell you about the city's name. So it's really a privilege to be doing this with you, and really your city council it speaks volumes to those that are representing you. First off, when naming a city, we are pulling all these names together. You're going to get a name that's descriptive, and a lot of you sent in names that describes the town, or it has some kind of meaning that has been aimed, back 200 years, and we didn't really know what the meaning of the name is. So what we did is we really dived deep to understand the name of the the name that you came up with, whether it was Wolf Creek. Where did that name come from? What's the origin? And you have a document in front of you that tells you the meanings of the 20 top names, and also the brand promise. So a name like Lake Town is just a descriptive name. But today, in 2017, when you have an opportunity to have a name, you're looking for a name that invokes emotion somehow. A name that you can identify with, and not just you as a community, but as you are going outside of the community to attract, whether it's businesses or other residents, that will also evoke that same emotion. So with that said, make sure it ties into the city's vision. So that's the name that we are really looking for, and then we'll go into the process from that to the 20 that we came up with. Thank you.
So, hi everybody again. I got a whole bunch of paper in my hand. I'm going to put it down because it will just confuse me as I go forward. One of the things that I want you to know is that the naming of this city is setting the tone for a branding opportunity, which will come later. Your vision has been identified, you know that. But what you need to know from us now is how we got from that to that. I suppose that's what's in everyone's mind. In the meantime, we're thinking about all the questions you want to ask us, and we'll be thinking about the answers. All right, the first thing we did was to try to figure out what names had been talked about. What names had been given to your city council people. Because the first thing we know is that your city council people were elected to represent you. So that's a part of the process. We know who to go to, those 7 people, 1 plus, makes 8, to ask them to speak for you because you have already elected them. So that's one point of reducing. Then we asked the names of the persons who had already been submitted. At the same time, we have a contract that we had to abide by, which set for time restraints. So as we were trying to put all of that together, we came up with a process that did not include a public meeting. And we presented that process to the city council. And before it got out of my mouth, the city council said, oh no, we need to speak, or we need to allow the city residents to speak. And that's why we have this meeting. Now, so you'll understand where we were coming from. We figured you had already talked to the city council people, but you still needed another opportunity to do so. So that's why we're here. Now, any questions so far? Great, so far so good.
Are there more listed definitions?
I beg your pardon?
The descriptions that you said were passed out, are there any more?
Okay. We ran out of list of descriptions. If you all would
Can we make
share,
copies of this book? We'll make some more copies.
I think we started with 100, so more than 100 people.
We'll make other copies.
So while they're doing that, once we look at the names, the various lists that we got, and we consolidated those lists to that list. And I've been to several meetings here before, and before I got out of the door, somebody had walked up to me and said, well, would you put this name on the list, or would you put that name? Every time we heard a name, we put it on this list. Now, we looked at this list and we said, okay, nobody can vote on 240 plus names, so we have to bring it down. So our contract says you got to bring it down to 20, and so here are your 20 names. We use the following tactics. We tried to select names that had mass appeal. We tried to select names that were on more than one list that we received. We tried to select names that were not cumbersome to pronounce. Names that were, the names that use the same root word, like for example, Haven. That there was somebody submitted a name called South Haven or West Haven or Southern Haven. So that's a Haven name. We put those names together and you'll see a Haven name there. Understanding that there's got to be compromise. There will be one name for this city, only one. And we have to go through some kind of elimination process. We have come up with a naming process based on something similar to voting for your elected officials. That will happen on the 13th of November. At the end of that day, the 13th, you will have a name. It will be fair. It will give your city council three opportunities to vote on a name. They will start with the 20 names. They will scale it down to 3. They will vote on the 3 names, which will scale down to 2. And then they will vote on the 2 names, and that will give you the one name that will be the name of the city. I think that's explained in something that you might have. If not, we can walk you through it. Yes.
So you're saying the city council is going to
The city council will vote on the name of the city. Why the city council? Because you have already elected them to speak for you. Okay, so now that's why and that's how the process happened. So we're going to just stop now and wish somebody happy birthday.
Yeah.
Whose birthday?
We got someone who's 16 years old today.
All right.
Her name is Councilwoman Naima Gilliard.
So let's just have a little sing happy birthday. And don't let me read it because I have a horrible voice.
Excuse me, can I say something?
Who's the singer in here?
Can I say something?
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that one of my neighbors, believe it or not, has the same birthday that I have. And she's sitting right there, and her name is Dee Franklin. Ms. Franklin.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Okay, so, Sophie, do you have something to add?
No, just the part about the emotion. So included in the process was making sure on the list is a name that invoked emotion. And when you're looking at the document in front of you, you will see brand promise at the end of each, I think it's E, labeled E. It says brand promise. So that should give you some kind of feeling about that particular name. What's that emotion attached to that name? And you understand when you think of whether it's a name, let's say it's a country, it has some kind of connection to you just when you hear it. That's pretty much it. Just make sure that the name has some significant emotion. And if it doesn't now, it will once we finish branding it.
So, this is the time for question and answers. Before you get to that, though, I want to just add one more thing. Understand that the city council will pick your name. Understand that you will be approached by persons to convince you on one name or another. Understand that this is your one opportunity to go for this city name. Understand that their one opportunity to go for this city. Understand that they must compromise. And so bear that in mind as you begin to process what's going on. So, anybody got a question? How about you? You look like you have. Yes, sir, in the back with the red shirt.
I'm okay. I'm concerned that we always enter the quote positive aspects of the name. Did anyone look at these names and look at the negative aspects of them?
Yes.
And if they haven't, I've got a list of those that I think are important to everybody to know before we continue.
Well, I think you might want to divide that list up because there's a time limit, isn't there not? Is somebody keep the time?
Yes, Mr. Perry, what we need to do is, why don't we bring them up to the to the podium, those who have a comment. Those who have a comment, Money, let those who have a comment,
Come to the podium.
come to the podium. You can start lining up in the middle row there. And you have 2 minutes to respond.
So you can hand your cards over to the clerk. And Mr. Clerk, we also need some more cards open. Okay, we're going to use the usual format, so you don't have to stand up yet. When we call your name, you'll come down to the podium. I'll call 3 names at a time. If you have not already completed a speaker card, Margaret is out here with the cards. We also have all the copies, the extra copies. If you did not get a copy of the packet, Lieutenant Norris is over on this end with some extra copies. We also have some on the other side. So right now, if you would just complete your speaker card and then hand it to Margaret or Dolores, who's out here, then we will call your name. So far, we have received 9 speaker cards. So while everyone else is completing theirs, I'll call the first 3 names. Mr. Joseph Hambright, Ms. Linda Collins, and Ms. Bernice Gordon-Rucker. If you would all 3 please come to the podium at this time. Mr. Hambright.
Good evening, Council, and good evening, neighbors. First of all, I would just like to say that this is a very important process that we're undertaking, and I hope that the politics will not interfere with us doing something creative to bring a positive aspect to this community. As with others, I've seen some names that cause me some concerns, but I'm going to wait till the process unveils itself and hopefully at a later point be able to speak directly to some names that I would prefer. But I'm hopeful that this body of people and the people that we've elected to represent us will put aside your own personal ambitions and look at what is important for the area and what we are trying to establish here. So that would be my wish, that we adhere to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Rucker, well, you could go ahead until Ms. Collins comes down.
Okay.
Before you decide, Ms. Rucker,
Mr. Clerk, would you have them to announce their name and their address?
thank you. So if you did not hear, our Mr. Mayor, please announce both your name and your address, or at least the district that you happen to live in, and that helps the mayor and council members to identify more closely with you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and fellow citizens. My name is Bernice Gordon-Rucker, and I live at 3870 Ailey Avenue in the Walton Park subdivision. I'm in District 2. And I want to take this opportunity to thank you all for giving us citizens a chance to have input on this process. I know it's probably made it more cumbersome, but we do thank you. I'm just going to state up front my choice. It may not happen, but I like the name New Haven. It possibly may not have anything to do with the Creek Indians here, but I think it speaks to a new beginning for us. And Haven just speaks for safety to me, a place where you can grow and progress. So that's my choice. But whatever the name come out to be, I live here. I'm not moving. So I just thank you for this opportunity.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Glenda Collins, and I'm here to represent the Fellwood Community Association. And we are on Fellwood and Morning Creek. Atlanta Heights, Camp Creek, Hamilton Road, those names disturb me because of the crime. And those are in the Atlanta area. And I do not want to be associated with Atlanta. This is why we voted to become a city, to disassociate ourselves and to become independent.
I am not looking for a name with emotions. I am looking for a name that will have a financial impact on our city. Thank you.
Okay, the next three names are D. Franklin, Mr. Torrey Tomlinson, Mr. Storm Mitchell, and I'll add one, Miss Juliet Rankin. So if all four of you would please come down at this time. D. Franklin first.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Thank you guys for allowing us to speak today. But I want to bring to your attention the history of our city. It doesn't seem like from the names that we were looking at that nobody thought about the history. And I went to South Fulton Chamber of Commerce website and found that the Creek Indians once resided here. And I really think that if we are going to pick a name, we should have something in that name that's going to deal with our former residents that lived here before. And we want to be unique. We want to have a name that's going to encompass and welcome everybody. You know, we want to be very diverse. We don't want to be pro-black, pro-white. We want to be a very diverse city. And some of these names on this cardboard is, I mean, a lot of us looked at them and we knew we're not being very diverse, and we're not, you know, we're not thinking about everybody. So we want to make sure that these names that we pick is a representation of everybody and welcome everybody. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Torrey Tomlinson from District 6. I feel like we the people are the ones who elected this great council and mayor. I feel like we the people should have we the people should be able to vote on the name. I know it's hard to please everybody. Somebody's going to be mad out of this situation because their name didn't get picked. But I understand that we're going to have a runoff on December 5th. I believe that if we could put that name, those names on the ballot and give the community an option to vote on it as a whole, that would give us a higher voter turnout on December the 5th, and it will let the people pick the name at the end of the day. That's just my point. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Storm Mitchell. I live in the District 4 portion of Cliftondale. Good to see y'all this evening. Big concern about our name, and concern that we have some council people that were new to this, that the cityhood effort started long before you even knew anything about South Fulton. You did not know about the struggle, about the effort, the personal sacrifice and the time and money spent to provide that seat for your city. And we were trying to become independent, an independent entity of some of our adjoining political communities. And for that reason, we deserve a name that is fresh, independent of those communities. We need to have a name that must be unique. And we need to stand on our own and not be tied to something else. We don't need to be east, west, south of anywhere else. Our name will help guide and determine our future success and our ability to attract future residents as well as development. Please choose wisely. Thank you.
Following Ms. Juliet Rankins, Arnold A. Jiggins, Mr. Richard Ash, and Mr. Michael McCord. Please all come approach the podium. Ms. Rankins.
My name is Juliet Rankins, and I'm in District 4. And I came up to support the name Atlanta Heights. I think it will be a great advantage for us. It's very strategic. I think people are looking at it in a different way, and I heard my councilwoman, and I do have the same I went through the struggles and I had the, feelings when everything was happening. But this is such an art of war move, and I love it. Because nobody's gonna expect you to go in, they're gonna expect you to go out. And Atlanta Heights is going in and saying, we are independent, and we're gonna name ourselves, and this is what we're gonna name ourselves. And we're going to be independent, but take the benefits. What you tried to take from us, we're gonna have it all with your name. So I am in favor of Atlanta Heights, and if you haven't noticed, Atlanta has a different image. I don't know where y'all been over the last 10, 20 years, it has a different image. Why would Woodstock name their mall the Shops of Atlanta, and they're nowhere near Atlanta? They want people to come. When your family says, where do you live? They say Atlanta. They don't say any place else. I'm going to Atlanta to see my family. Y'all can sleep on this if you want to. It depends on what your goals are, where you want to go. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Arnold Jiggets, District 4. And I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I co-sign Ms. Rankins. I am asking you to humbly consider the name Atlanta Heights. It is the only name that completely represents the majority of the people in South Fulton. And I say that because of our human capital. Let's not be, if we be honest with ourselves, then you have to be respectful. If we're being honest with ourselves, a lot of us in South Fulton County have always embraced and invested into the brand Atlanta. Let's not think of it as a location, and let's look at it as a brand. It has brand awareness. It gets us forward and ahead of the game, and many, many people, whether you live here or if you was born and raised here or you moved from somewhere to the South Side, you support all things that are cool about Atlanta. If you think about it, if you be honest, we went to school there, some of us work there, and that name will invoke, and look at the emotion and passion behind it. Look at the emotion and passion behind it. If you got a letter in your seat, think about it. Tina told Ike, you can have everything, but I want to keep my name. We're already invested. Chicago Heights understood it. Cleveland Heights understood it. Brooklyn Heights understood it. It's our power. It's what's going to get us ahead of the game. Atlanta Heights, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Richard Ash, and I live at 1640 County Line Road. I wish to thank you for the opportunity that you have given us, the people, to be able to participate in the naming of a new city. And so one of the things that I want you to understand is that when we go to a Chicago, a city of Massachusetts, or anywhere outside of the city of Georgia, and you converse with somebody and they're going to ask you, where do you live? Some individual will say, I live in, well, East Point. The next question is, where is that? Where is that? And so I am saying to you, let's think in terms of a name that we can identify with, associate with. And I tell you, I am proud of the name, the city of Atlanta. And so I am urging you, I'm urging you to adopt the name of Atlanta Heights. Thank you.
I calling Mr. Michael McCoy, Ms. Kenya Edwards, Ms. Eleanor Kennedy, and Mr. Michael Venable. Please approach the podium, Mr. McCoy.
Hi there, my name is Michael McCoy, graduated from Morehouse. Lived in Red Oak for the last 25 plus years. So I'm not a neophyte. I've been there, grew up in the San Fernando Valley, over the hill from Hollywood, which is LA, over the hill from Beverly Hills, which is LA, but they don't want to be Los Angeles because their name is bigger and better than Los Angeles. That's where everybody wishes they were from, where they could go. New Haven is mine. I was on the naming committee. We went through about 7, 8 weeks of grueling disagreements, shouting names down, and nobody asked one of us to participate, in which names have already been slaughtered by 50, 60 people on 2, 3 different occasions. Here's some names that didn't make the cut. I don't know why they didn't. I handed them to our gentleman at the last meeting. We didn't know it was going to be the last meeting, so it was kind of surprising. Here's some, and this is why I didn't want to cut it off too quick. Here are some names. Crescent Heights. Our city is shaped like a crescent. Heights suggests that we're heading that way or we're already on top. Ascent, Georgia. Ascent speaks to the upward and forward direction of our city. Ardent, Georgia, expresses the zeal with which the progress of our new city will be met as we attempt to turn it into something that Metro Atlanta can be proud and or jealous of. Haven Heights, Georgia, suggests a beautifully serene place to get away from the daily hustle and bustle and a nice upwardly mobile place to raise your family. Many names were originally suggested containing the names of Haven and Heights. Prosper, Georgia. It was on there, but they changed it to Prosperity. The problem with Prosperity is they show up and go, this is prosperity? We're not there yet, but Prosper says what we're trying to do, not what we've already accomplished, okay? Aspire, Georgia, a place to come to realize your dreams and aspirations. We don't have to be limited to that list, but they didn't want 1/3 of the names on that list. 30, 40, 50 people were adamant they didn't want them, okay? Thank you very much.
Sure, let me pull this down. Good evening, my name is Kenya Edwards. So I just have a couple of questions. This is my first meeting attending of this sort. So I got the email, I saw the 20 names, and I honestly didn't know about the 240 names, the process that happened beforehand. So one, I wanted to figure out how I can learn more about the processes that happen and when you guys reach out to the constituents in the city, to the citizens, when we can find out about these kind of opportunities to participate in the 240 naming, first of all. And second of all, I see the 20 names, and so my question is, if you guys don't like the names, maybe you love one of the names, what's the process and the plan B if none of these names are selected? Are these the only choices that you guys as council people will choose from, or will you go back to one of the 240 names? Because, for example, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so for example, Atlanta Heights. So my question is, Atlanta Heights, and I know everyone's talking about they love Atlanta Heights, but for me, I'm not from Atlanta, I'm from California, born and raised, been here about 15 years, so I'll claim Atlanta, but there are cities that are north of Atlanta, right? You have your Johns Creek and your Buckhead and your Brookhaven. None of those say Atlanta in them, and they're very successful. They have very wonderful budgets. So why do we have to claim Atlanta even though we're south? Like South Fulton, that's the county. Why do we got to be named the county? That's the county name. So back to my question is, what's the plan B if none of those names on this list are chosen, or is this the only list that you guys will be selecting from?
As I said earlier, on November the 13th, all 20 names will be put on a ballot and given to those 7 people. The mayor will grant the tie, there is one. They will be asked to vote for 3 names. They can vote for whatever 3 names on that list that there are. The ballots will be tallied, and the 3 names that get the highest number of votes will be put on another ballot. That ballot will be given to them. They will be asked to vote for 2 names. That's lowering the countdown. And then the same process will continue. And then they will be given a ballot with 2 names on it. The name that wins will be the name of the city. That's what, the one name that comes off the list of 2 will be the name that they will elect, the city council, to name the city. That's the process.
So my question is, for that 20, if the mayor says, I don't like none of the 20,
he has to vote or his vote won't be counted. So first of all, the mayor doesn't vote.
If the council says, you know what, ma'am, we don't like any of the 20, I don't like any of the 3, do they get to go back? Okay, I'm asking, that's what I'm hearing. Okay.
That's what happens. So at the end of the day, there will be a name selected.
From the 20.
From the 20.
Point blank period.
Point blank period.
All right, thank you very much.
So Ms. Eleanor Kennedy and Mr. Michael Venables, again, if you would please come down when your name's called so we don't have to keep calling the same name. But after Mr. Venables, D. Lovely Gibson and Ms. Tiffany Moore. One moment, Mr. Lee.
If there are empty seats, I see some young ladies standing up in the back. If you have an empty seat next to you, could you just raise your hand so that people could get a seat? Thanks.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Good evening, I'm Eleanor Kennedy. I'm Pittman Park Subdivision District 3. I've heard a lot of dissension already this evening. So if I recall, when we first started talking about a city, it would be the people totally involved. So I have a request and a comment. The first request is, can we for a moment just show of hands for people who do or do not want Atlanta Heights on the list, even though it's there. Even though it's there. Even though it's there. Because that's the one thing we've been hearing a repeat in the comments about whether we do or we do not. So that's my request. I understand you don't have to explain. And the next And the next comment was simply just to thank you for all of your efforts here in establishing the city and what you've done since. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You don't have to call.
Good evening, Mike Bowser from Old National. Wanted to comment on the problematic issues of a lot of the names on this list. Naming the city Cliftondale would be a slap in the face to Cascade. Camp Creek would insult Red Oak. Welcome All does not do Old National any favors. Wolf Creek is not good for Cedar Grove. Let's look at history. The main reason South Fulton was used as a place saver for this bill was because you couldn't take anyone's name and put that above any others. I wouldn't ask Councilman Rawle to name her next relative Mark Baker, or I wouldn't make Naima to name Rosie's person's Naima. That's just not right. South Fulton, you can't use that. The image of that, they clump every single city in this area at South Fulton. You totally lose your identity. That can't go. Hamilton and Atlanta Heights, do you know what happened yesterday? How many people asked me, you gonna vote for Mary Norwood or Keisha Bottoms or whatever in that one? You confuse the whole community by copying someone else's name. That is totally unnecessary and problematic. Pinewood and Phoenix City, why in the world are you trying to copy someone? Pinewood is down in Fayette County, Tyrone. Phoenix City is Alabama. They got theirs, let's go get ours. Insecurity. Look at your demographics. Why in the world would you have to name something after Herndon, King, or Langston when you can look at the demographics and show this is a majority African American community? You sound like someone who just got some money, ran out and got a big Mercedes trying to show everybody, instead of just being confident in yourself to say, hey, I know this, I don't have to flaunt it. Those names need to go. These directions and these newness, South Haven, West Haven. I don't want to be there. Let me live in Haven. Stop degrading yourself and making that insensitive. The rest of the names, they're problematic. They have no worth for here. We need to start this all over, and I think that we're in the wrong direction.
Okay, we have T. Lovely Gibson, Tiffany Mormon, Clyde King, and Lynette Camaro. I'm not gonna call D. Lovely anymore or Tiffany Mormon because we've called them twice. Please stand up behind on the podium so we know you're here because I'm gonna start calling the next speaker.
Sure. Lovely Gibson, I live in Barrington Trace. Appreciate the hard work you guys are doing. I've been in Atlanta for 25 years. I have never lived in Atlanta. And I always say I come from Atlanta. I've been around the world. In that 25 years, I've lived in Singapore. I've gone to other cities. I'm from Atlanta, but I was in Decatur, I was in Marietta, I was in East Point, I was in Norcross. That is of no consequence. I worked hard for us to be a city. I don't want to be tied to Atlanta. Every time I think about the Heights, I think about projects I visited. I think about Chapel Heights. I'm from Maryland. I think about places in Chicago. I don't want to be associated with any of those. I don't want to be South, West, anything of anything. I've worked hard my 25 years in this city, and I've been around to every other city. Sandy Springs, Alpharetta, Johns Creek, Vinings. They're not selecting Atlanta for a reason. Let's wake up and not choose that name. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members. My name is Tiffany Mormon. I'm from District 2. And I just wanted to speak about Wolf Creek based on this list of 20 names that you all provided to us. I read the meaning and the attraction and the brand promise. And one of the things that I'll have you notice that I'm born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which we say go Pack Go there. I do like the Falcons, but the Packers were a winning team. They are a winning team. And one of the most winning coaches is Vince Lombardi. He has a saying about the Wolves, and that's why I choose Wolf Creek as our name, because the strength of the wolf is the pack, and we're building a community right now. The pack is the strength of the wolf. So when you think about wolves and you think about community and what we're trying to build, I think we want a strong community, and it's based on a winning coach with a big team. So I say, please, let's go for Wolf Creek. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lynette Kamar, and I'm from District 7, Corner Ridge Subdivision. I've been in South Fulton since 1986. And I was encouraged by Derek Jackson to vote that we be a city. I've always lived unincorporated, and we were South Fulton. I just wanted, when I was voting for the change that it will make by keeping our taxes in South Fulton so that we could be utilize our funds in our area. So I just realized that we had these 20 names. I wasn't aware of the name or we've been naming. So I just wanted to say tonight, I come to say that a name don't make me, I make the name. And I know that South Fulton has its problems, but if you look deeply in every area, they have their problem. So I think that if we should focus on making a difference in the city than so much on the name, I think we won't lose the reason that we voted to be a city.
Following Mr. Clyde King, Mr. Mark Cruz, Mr. Virgil Smith, and Mr. Anthony Davis.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Clyde King. I'm from Forest Oaks, Division District 6. The way it's going, looks like it's going to be another year before you find a name. Can't satisfy everybody, but I am, what I'm thinking about is economic development, prosperity in this community. We need a revival. We need a rebirth. And this is the time and opportunity for us to do it and to get our brand. My choice would be Renaissance, City of Renaissance, because I believe, and I'm not talking about back in the English time and when that era went, but a rebirth, a revitalization. And that would be my choice of a name for this city. And I would like for business people of all nationalities to make a left turn coming out of Hartsfield and do business down here and help us grow and prosper. And that should be what it's all about. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Mark Cruz. I live in the Sable Bend subdivision under District 5. Regarding the new names, I just want to say I have a few concerns regarding names like Atlanta Heights. You know, I do own a house here, and I want to make sure that we are properly branding ourselves to something that can hopefully increase our property values. You know, when I see the name Heights, you know, every city I've lived in, you know, if you think about the part of town that has the name Heights, you know, it's always something bad going on. So I just ask that when we're selecting the name of the city, that we are thoughtful of, you know, yes, it can have an emotional impact, but at the same time, let's also think about the financial impact as well. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Roger Smith. I live in Barrington Trace. I believe that's District District 1. Thank you for correcting me. So I want to commend you for inviting the public to participate in this. Like many others, I've lived across the country. Cities named Clovis, Arden, Falls Church. Cities that are close to metropolitan areas. And we probably wouldn't know the metropolitan areas we're close to. But one of the reasons I supported us becoming our own city is because I didn't want to be Atlanta. Now, don't misunderstand me. I love Atlanta. Atlanta's a great world-class city. But that's not what we chose to be. We didn't choose to be Atlanta. We chose to be a special community. When I look at what goes on in Sandy Springs and Johns Creek and the economic development and the pride and the commerce that has gone there and the education, I want that for us. So I don't have a lot of choices to give you. I mean, you've got 20 choices, you have a process. I will tell you there's some names that stand out to me. I like South Haven. I like what the Haven stands for. And I'm not ashamed to live in the South. I can afford to live anywhere in this metropolitan area, and I choose to live here. I choose to live here. So I have great pride. So I have no problem calling my city South Haven or New Haven or Renaissance. But I don't buy into the concept of Atlanta Heights. We didn't vote to become a new city to call ourselves Atlanta. So I want to say that as well. And I also want to echo, I lived in Sacramento, California, and one of the poorest parts of Sacramento, California, even though it was robust, it was called the Heights. And the same thing when I lived in Fresno, California. They had an area called the Heights, and so I would stay away from that. Thank you again for allowing us to speak, and good luck to you as you make this decision.
Following Mr. Anthony Davis, Mr. Jameson, and I always mess up his first name, so I'm not going to say that, and Ms. Irene Camara.
Good evening. The name is Anthony Davis. I'm in Pine Tree Subdivision, District 6. Primarily, out of the 20 names that I see up here, we should eliminate the 10 of them off the bat from the standpoint of a favoritism of a particular area or the city. Doesn't make any sense to me. There's only 2 names up there on the first list I see that actually is the reason that we voted to start the city. That's Renaissance and Unity. Hold on to this should be even the majority in favor. Because those are the only one that makes sense before to start a city. Anything else is egotistic. My ego is just as big as anybody out there. So check this out. I'm a native of Atlanta, and I live in 4 areas of the metropolitan of Atlanta. So, like I said, if you could eliminate the 10 that favor South, West, or the city, you had 75% of those names should be eliminated off the stories considered. Anything favoritive, also favor a name of an individual who has some history in this state should not be considered either. But like I said, the two that's on the list right now that has some root, some foundations to build on is Renaissance and Unity. Those are all two that should be considered. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good evening. Tamon Jameson, District 7. When you hear the name Tyrone, what do you think about? Do you think about your funny cousin? Or you think about Erykah Badu? How many of us think about the Fayette County town that has growth of over 82% since 2000? A town whose median household income is over $81,000 compared to Georgia's median income of just over $15,000. A town whose median home value is almost $80,000 more than the state median. A place where unemployment hovers below the average for Georgia, where the crime index is significantly lower than the average, even though they have less police officers per 1,000 residents than the state average. And a place where the percentage of people with at least a bachelor's degree is above the state average. Even though the town was named after an area named County Tyrone in Northern Ireland, I bet that's not what any of us think about when we hear the word Tyrone, Georgia. Now, I'm not saying that naming our new city has no merit. I'm just reminding us all that we make out of the city what we want it to be, especially long-term, and it has a bearing on what we call it. Economic development has more to do with our elected officials' pursuit of the growth than it does with what the name of the city is. So while we're placing our footprint in South Fulton, let's be mindful that if we want a safe city, we have to make it safe. If we want businesses to come here, we have to go out there and get them. If we want our children to thrive here, it's up to us to make it so. So as we take the next several weeks to decide on a name, let's not lose sight of the work that needs to be done, regardless of the new name that's going to be on our mail.
Thank you very much.
All right, I think you have not turned the speaker card in. The last two speakers are Ms. Irene Camara and Mr. A.W. Davis, and Beverly Young. So there are three speakers. I would like to read from T. Berry, unless T. Berry would like to speak. She just threw out a question: why was South Fulton chosen for the top 20 instead of New South Fulton? So Ms. Camara, your name.
Good evening, Councilman. My name is Irene Camara. I'm in District 6. Mark Baker is my councilperson. I'm from the South Hill subdivision. I moved here 4 years ago from Frederick, Maryland, which is in between DC and Baltimore. I became active in my community. I became active with this movement for the city of South Fulton. And my reason for being involved in the city of South Fulton movement is because I wanted better services for my committee. I wanted my own code enforcement. I wanted my own police. I wanted my own fire department. I wanted money that was owed to us from the city of Atlanta. I want that money to come back into our area so that we can use it to provide better services for our community, the city of South Fulton. And when it was voted in as a city, I just assumed that the city of South Fulton would be the name of our new city. But as it be, we're going through this rigorous 20 names that we have to select from. I select Atlanta Heights because Atlanta is an internationally known city name. We have people coming in and out of the airport up here. So yeah, I piggyback on all the other people that have voted for Atlanta Heights, and I hope that the website that Mr. Khalid and Mr. Baker, everybody has submitted their votes to that website, and you all would incorporate those names, those votes with the people that are in this room tonight, and that I hope Atlanta Heights will prevail as the name for the new city. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is A.W. Davis. I live in South Fulton in District 4. Voltaire said, truth cannot exist where there is no reality. None of this is real. I created what you all reference as world-class destination concept, 2006. You don't even know what world-class destination means. I didn't even design it for America. I designed it for China because it had to have a level that it could grow to. People come in here and they think that this is going to become a world-class city or destination in a short period of time. I'm from Miami. I pick a paper in 3 states, Florida, Georgia, and Mississippi. I'm talking off the ground. I'm not talking about throwing papers. And what has to be realized is that if you go to Miami right now, drive down Biscayne Boulevard, go to Brickell, you're going to go through a canyon of 30-story buildings. 40 years ago, it wasn't like that. I grew up as a boy in Miami. We used to have picnics on Biscayne Boulevard. When you see the big ships now, when you go to Bayside, we used to have picnics. I used to pick sea grapes in that same area. Whatever you see today in your mind, it's going to take 20, 30, or 40 years to build. Please take that into your consideration as you begin to go through these names. I don't have a name for you because I don't live here. I have a house here. I live in Miami. I could never live anyplace else. But what my motto would be a place where love, peace, and prosperity reside. May God bless you and enjoy your evening.
Hello, I'm Beverly Young from Ponte Red Subdivision, District 7. Mr. Mark Baker is our councilman. My question is, why did we have this meeting? It says in the Bible, how can two walk together except they agree? Are y'all agreeing with the community? Are y'all agreeing with what we voted for, which was the city of South Fulton? Each and every one of us voted for the city of South Fulton. If I'm wrong, correct me. We voted for the city of South Fulton. If I'm wrong, correct me. We got to walk together and touch and agree. And I'm voting for South Fulton. If y'all wanted to stay the city of South Fulton.
Thank you. Start. Just let it know. This will be last one.
Ms. Cheryl Dunbar, if you could please approach the podium.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Dunbar. I'm from District 1, Cambridge County Subdivision. I want to thank you all for having this meeting. You have a tough job in front of you, but I appreciate the opportunity to participate in this process. Whatever name you choose, somebody's not going to be happy with it, but I appreciate the opportunity to comment. Personally, I like Atlanta Heights, but I want to piggyback on what someone said earlier, that the name, we have to get beyond just the name. We have to get involved. As I was sitting in my seat listening to people around me, some people were saying, oh, well, I didn't know I could submit a name. We should know that. Whatever the name of the city is, all of us in here need to become more engaged and more involved in what's going on. We're coming out to this meeting, but have we been coming out to meetings prior to this? Have we been contacting our district representative with our opinions about things? No, but we come here and, well, I didn't know. So whatever name is chosen, we have to get involved. This is our city, and it's going to take us working with our representatives to make our city work, to make it what we want it to be, regardless of the name. You have to be an active citizen of your city. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Let me just thank everybody for making our job 100 times worse. You wanted the job. We thought we had it down. But once again, this has been very, very informative to all of us. And I'm glad that we had an opportunity to do it. I'm going to allow the consultants, if you have anything else you want to close out with.
Well, we did it. We had the meeting. Adjournment.
Yeah, well, it ain't actually-
The council people will have a bigger job to do on the 13th of November, right?
Yeah, 13.
But they will get through it. There will be a name. You will make the brand. Once the city is named, the image will come from you, as the young lady said, who so diligently, appropriately walked up here, walked back in glory. Where is she? Raise your hand. Where's that young lady? Yeah. Anyway, thank you for closing us with such a wonderful attitude. Get behind your city council people. The information that you want to give them about naming the city, give it more to them. We tried to come up with a reason for the name. We tried to give you a branding, what do you call it?
Promise, the brand
This
promise.
is the branding lady. A branding promise so that you can see where the brand can go. But you make the brand. It's what you do in it. It's your image that you create that makes the brand, that makes the city. It doesn't matter what the name is. It's what you do with the name.
Thank you all so much. Before we leave, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to, with my colleagues, their tentative time, I would like for them to make some statements about this evening. And I can start with Mr. Khalid on my right, and we'll go down and be mindful of the minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna try to make this quick. I'm gonna try. A lot of people showed up for this meeting. I hear a lot of passion around the name. Obviously, we heard some great closing comments about how that's not so important. It's not as important as what we do next, right? I think that I want you to just think for a minute and talk about this when we leave here. I think a lot of our anxiety around the names is really a proxy for the anxiety we have about what kind of city we're going to be 20 years from now. We've not really had that conversation. And I think we probably need to get around to having that. You know, Atlanta is, I hear people that love Atlanta and people that hate Atlanta. The name Atlanta Heights, but I think that it's very urban and densely populated. Maybe it's not a family-friendly place, and a lot of people moved out here for those things. But you also have to understand that we are 100 square miles, and we're 100,000 people. In 20 years, this city will be 250,000 people, easily. And so we've got to decide, like, what are we gonna do with all those people? Like, where are we gonna put them? How are we gonna move them around? Do we want them? Like, are we gonna zone them out? Like, do we wanna be a big city? Are we trying to be this suburban town at 100 square miles? Is that possible? I think that those are a lot tougher conversations, but I think we probably should start having it. Everyone said what needed to be said about the rebranding being not as important as what we do next. I do want to ask our attorney just to comment. I know a lot of people say that they want to vote, but we're not actually, this is a little political education, so something I really believe in. We're not allowed to put a vote like that on a ballot in this state. If you all create petitions, you can create a petition for each name, you go through the Board of Elections, and you can get that question added to the ballot of citizens, but that's not something that we're allowed to do. There is a survey on my website. I did have solicitation for the names for the last several months. Anybody can go there and vote. It's khalidcares.com. I do personally think that Atlanta Heights and South Fulton are too divisive. People seem to be really angry about them one way or the other. But they're the top 2 vote getters on my website. And I don't know, as a representative, especially when you all get a chance to vote, I don't know how I can ignore that. So I really ask you all to petition your council people. And the last thing I'm gonna say is, there were so many amazing speakers tonight. I'm so glad I didn't have to run against some of you. Like, you're really, really good. I hope that no matter what name we choose, that you use those brilliant minds and those brilliant words to defend that name and to sell that name and to market that name wherever you go. I think You guys are brilliant, and I'm proud to be your representative.
Thank you, Mr. Reed.
When we were given the challenge of reaching out to the community to find out what names they would be interested in, I said to myself, well, I can't really do a survey. So what I'm going to do is just go on next door, tell people to submit the names, send it to my website, send it to my personal website, the city website, or whatever. I got 86 names. So 86 of those 245 are on that list. And it was really interesting because this thing, 86 different names I got. But out of those 86 names, there were only 2 that were repeats. And it was Wolf Creek and Renaissance. There wasn't any Atlanta Heights, there wasn't any of that, but there was South Fulton. And there was New Haven and whatever Haven, just a lot of havens, a lot of north, south, east, and west. And so I'm just so amazed that out of 245 names, that they were able to narrow it down to 20. The name I chose wasn't on there. And I'm just gonna say I chose Greenwood, and the reason why I did was because of what happened in Tulsa in the early part of the 20th century. And I thought that, and they really tried to come back and couldn't. And I just thought it was kind of emotional, and maybe you shouldn't choose a name based on emotions, but I did. But I'm not gonna say the one that I really like. But at any rate, this is gonna be a tough job. There are a lot of people that want certain names that are certain, rising to the surface, and some don't. So now you can't be angry with us when we don't choose your name. Because it's going to really, really be difficult. But I really, really appreciate the fact that so many people are involved, and we tried to make it so, like the vendor said, they were going to do another process in the interest of time. And we said, no, the people have to be involved. So I really, really thank you, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you, Ms. Gunn.
All I can say is, wow, all of you all came out here tonight, and I would love to make sure that you come out to the rest of our meetings. As important as the name is, some people may minimize it, but it is very important. Again, this is a baby that you birthed. This is going to represent us for the next, onset. So it is important. I have received your emails. I have received your surveys, and when I tell you that people are still chiming in about what this name should be, it is going to be a very tough choice. But again, this is our baby. And again, we're not going to make everyone happy, but at the same time, this is, as a community, what we need to do to pull together. So I'm listening, I'm reading your emails, even the ones that are kind of mean, I am reading and I am responding. But, out of the survey, I had about maybe 321 responses. Wolf Creek kind of stood out for District 2, and of course, because Wolf Creek is in District 2. So, I would love to see a name that represents the entire city. But again, we have to, work together as a council at the end of the day. So I'm looking forward to it, our naming and getting over this hump, and then seeing you all come back to all of our council meetings on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday and being involved. Thank you for coming out tonight.
I want to say thank you to all the residents who came out to engage in this process. I think I sent out about 2,000 emails, and I do get a lot of emails weighing in and chiming in on the name. But when I sent the information out, I wanted to keep it as true to the process, so I sent out the 20 names just because I wanted to hear your voice. So I continue to want to hear from constituents from District 1 and really across the city, because the name will represent us all. And so I'm looking forward to engaging this process. I don't think I need to add anything to what it said. We'll work to move towards consistency, and I look forward to continuing the process.
Good evening.
Thank you all for coming out and being engaged. I will say that I was one of the ones who was involved in the General Assembly process for us to become a city. And City of South Fulton was a placeholder because that was a way to identify us to get us through the General Assembly process. It was known going in that we were going to have to change our name. I have created a survey, and I got over 545 responses back. And so thank you for all who responded to the survey. And I will say that I got over 170 responses in favor of Wolf Creek. And then the second highest was City of South Fulton. And so Wolf Creek is leading the pack out of 545 with my survey. I would say if you haven't taken the survey, I have put it on my Nextdoor, my Facebook pages, and I've also sent it out via email. I've updated my database with all of the sign-in sheets that were in my possession. So if I do not have your email, please see me, and I will make sure that I add you to my distribution list. Thank you. We did not want to do this alone. Thank you to the branding company for helping us facilitate this. I am one that's going to always vote based on consensus of the people. I'm not going to always get every vote right. But what I will promise you is once I get consensus from the people in my district, I'm going to make sure my vote is in alignment with what you want. Have a good evening.
Ms. Jackson.
Good evening. I would like to thank everybody for coming out this evening, and I will ditto the fact that we need to see you all out this coming Tuesday as well to participate in that part of the engagement process. But I'm usually stating that it's about District 5, District 5. I heard you, District 5, those that came out, but tonight I am looking at the entire city of South Fulton. I know that's everybody up here, okay? I have gotten a lot of emails from people from other districts asking me to vote for certain things. So I am weighing the issues. I listened tonight at those that came up. I wrote down what we said, so we're gonna just take a look at what we have, and with the consensus of the 7 of us, we're gonna make I think an educated decision. And I think we're all gonna be proud of what we have and what we accomplish. Okay, thank you.
Good evening. I'd like to say that I'm extremely pleased to see almost every seat in this room full. It just warms my heart. And because I've had so many conversations with the people in my district, forums throughout the year before I was even elected, in reference to this process, as recent as this past weekend at the Old National Electoral College, we had a full room involved in the game where you went back and forth across the wall, touching one of these 20 names, saying which name you liked, why you liked it, giving detail. It got so heated we ended up putting somebody out. So, I mean, no, we did put somebody out. I used to be the police, and that's what we did. But honestly, it's good to see the energy involved in this process. And so, given that we've given so much to it, and we're here, and we're full, I gotta share a couple announcements real quick. Tomorrow at District 7, we have a meeting with MARTA executives about Route 889. It was gonna go through Oakley Township subdivision, and we ended up stopping it, and it's gonna be a big deal meeting. Everybody will come out to Oakley Elementary School tomorrow at 7:00 p.m., and that way we can discuss with the executives the future of MARTA in South Fulton. Our mayor should be on hand at 7:00 with that. Thank you. Also, the next day, Friday, at November 10th at 10:00 a.m., Facts Allied Health, I will be having my fall session for CNA, Certified Nursing Assistants. If there's anyone in the city who's interested in receiving a full scholarship to this program, just come out, tell your kids, tell your relatives. It's Facts Allied Health, Old National. You can reach out to me. We provided full scholarships for this program, and our fall session will start on this Friday. And on Saturday, November 11th at 11 o'clock a.m. at the South Fulton Learning Center right behind the library on Flat Shoals. We'll be having our, Khalid and I, we'll be having our Future South Fulton Forum, and we're gonna have all of the principals in our area from elementary school, middle school, and high school on deck to answer questions. It's going to be called SOS, Saving Our Schools, so we can work in conjunction with our principals and administrators to do the best we can in our community and bringing together our ideas and our vision for our new city. Just like tonight, we need y'all to be just as passionate in all of these other great things we have going on. And I'm going to make a decision based off all of the feedback that I've been given, as well as my conversing with my council members. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Booker. Let me just be very brief. I'm the mayor, I don't vote. Unless it's a tie. But I'll sure be talking. I'll sure be doing what you're trying to do, influence here and there where I can with my colleagues. The good thing about tonight is, and I wish we could do every night, we came to this microphone as individuals with pride, responsibility to doing something, not emotional, not ranting about something. And I wish that as we continue, as my colleagues talk about, continue to come to the meetings. I hope we can continue that. You know, guys, you can sit up and rant all you want to, but sometimes it don't change nothing. We'll hear you, but it don't change anything. And to say, lastly, of all the things that was said, and everything was beautiful that was said today, and it got me to thinking about a lot. But the one thing that sticks out in my mind is what that gentleman said about Tyrone Jones. No matter what name you pick, you got to make it something. You got to make it something. I spoke at Charles Drew High School, and children came into the auditorium, and I pulled 8 out at random, and I asked them one simple question: who is Charles Drew? And not one of the 8 could tell me. So you got to know what's in a name, but what's behind that name. What meaning do you give it? Are we pushing forward? But like he talked about economic development and other things to get us to the next plateau. Because you can have the most beautiful name you want. If you ain't doing no, nobody cares. Ain't nobody gonna care. So I would suggest, like he said tonight, let's put something behind the name, whatever name we choose, let's make sure we put something behind the name. All right, and at this time I would take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Probably move to second. In discussion, all those in favor, raise your hand. Thank you all for coming.